Hey guys, it's Steve with Retro Game Renegades. Before we get the show started today, I wanted to let you know you can check us out on Facebook and Instagram at Retro Game Renegades. We're also on Twitter at RG Renegades. Please stop by, leave a comment, some feedback, or just say hi. And without further ado, let's start the show. Hello everyone and welcome to Retro Game Renegades. My name's Steve.
My name is Joe.
And we'll be your co-hosts. On this pod, we're going to take a casual look at some old school games, anywhere from NES, Super Nintendo, right up to the original Xbox. What do you think, Joe?
Oh, I think this is going to be a fun time. I can't wait to see what we get into.
I'm pretty excited to do this. It's something that we've been kicking around for a while. We've been talking about doing a podcast, so we have a few episodes written now. We're going to see what kind of steam we can build up with this thing. Hopefully you guys like it. If so, we're going to keep pumping out episodes, and we hope that you join us for any games from the NES right up to the original Xbox. So today, what are we going to be covering, Joe?
We're covering Halo Combat Evolved, the launch game on the original Xbox.
Awesome. Man, that was a great game. That game changed gaming in a lot of ways, for me especially. I know when I was a kid, I had a buddy, absolutely loved Xbox. He bought it on launch date. He got Halo with it, and man, we played the shit out of this game. We played it an unbelievable amount. Joe, when was the first time you played this game?
I probably played it a few weeks after it came out. I heard other people playing it, and they got me into it.
Cool. Now, do you remember with the Xbox, just to take away from Halo, aside from Halo, the Xbox itself, do you remember that controller?
The original controller, I think, was bigger than I am.
Yeah, we nicknamed it the Gorilla Controller. I don't know if that's something we read in an online forum, but like we called it the Ape Controller or the Gorilla Controller because you needed hands the size of a silverback gorilla in order to hold this thing. I could barely reach the thumbsticks on that controller.
I mean, it was made for Master Chief. You had to be a giant man in a giant suit of armor to use that controller properly.
It was gigantic. But yeah, that was the Xbox. And aside from that, it was a really cool controller. So when they redesigned the controller, they made the controller S, which was a lot more friendly to the user. It was easier. You could actually hold it.
Well, I mean, the controller still feels like the original S. It's slightly changed, but the controllers today are still based on that model.
Yeah, it still harkens to the original design. I think that's, it was a great design for a controller. Personally, I think my favorite controller will be a PlayStation controller. And a big factor in that is the D-pad. It has the most comfortable D-pad I've ever felt. Even now, like that, those little 4 buttons, like, I just love it. So that was my favorite controller, but the Xbox controller, super close second.
The Xbox controller is better for 3D motion. The PlayStation controller is way better for 2D motion.
Yeah, I like the offset thumbsticks for Xbox. Like that was a big help for me. Like when we played the OG Xbox, you had the big Ape controller. Even though it was an Ape controller, you had one thumbstick slightly higher than the other one. It made it more comfortable.
You get a better grip on it. The PlayStation controllers, your fingers are a little too close to each other when you're doing big motions.
Yeah, and the PlayStation thumbsticks, where they kind of had that convex, on the top, that convex shape. I didn't like the way it felt under my thumbs as much. But as far as the D-pad, like you said, for 2D gaming and stuff like that, I love those controllers. But getting back to the game here, we're going to get into Halo. Like I say, this is a game that we played, more than 20 years ago we got into it. This game changed the scope of how you gamed. Like, we didn't have online gaming back then. We're old guys. We didn't fire up Xbox Live and, play. We had to physically go to someone's house and play video games with them even still.
But you could get one kid that didn't have any friends, Steve, and all of a sudden he has 15 friends.
Yeah, if you get Halo, like, even if you are kind of a loser, you
got Halo, you got a controller. Perfect, we need a controller.
You'll probably get some friends, like you say. Or even if people aren't coming over your house because you suck, you'll probably get invited to somebody else's house because you might need that fourth player, to do some multiplayer, especially in Halo. One thing I wanted to talk about, like, this game was released back November 15th, 2001. So, like, here we are in 2022. This is 21 years now since Halo was released. That's crazy.
Oh, yeah, and Halo's still out, right? People are still playing Halo. Halo Infinite isn't getting as much attention as the other Halos did, but, like, Halo is nowhere near dead. it's one of the most exciting franchises still.
It's still going strong. I loved Halo. Actually, to be honest, my favorite shooter. I like it more than the Call of Duty games. I like it more than any other shooter. Anything that's come out, Overwatch, all these new games, I still love Halo. I love the way it feels. It just feels like home to me.
No, there are some games I do like better than Halo, but I can see where Halo has really influenced those games.
Yeah, absolutely. So at the time this came out, 2001, think about what other games that we had to compete with it. There wasn't really anything like it. Nothing like this happened before.
For me, I was still playing GoldenEye at the time.
Yeah, GoldenEye. And think about that. That game is not pretty at all compared to Halo.
Bad controls, bad guns.
Those fucking C buttons.
Oh, yeah.
Possibly the worst asset a controller has ever had is those C buttons. I hated them. I hated is it the Z button? The little trigger on the back? Yeah. I wasn't a fan of that, but I hated the C buttons. I found them so awkward.
They were good for Zelda games. Everything Nintendo made, they were great. And everything made by anybody else, the controller was just garbage.
And here's the thing, too. With Nintendo, I give them props because they go out on a limb. They take a chance with stuff like that. I think the C buttons are garbage, but they work, like you say, for some games. For Zelda, they work great. But everything Nintendo does is really, really gimmicky. So when they release something like that, it's going to work or it's going to crash. They're not afraid to fall on their face. I will give them that. But at the same time, I just wish sometimes they could boil some things down and just make a normal controller.
Well, I mean, they did learn from that. They have their pro controllers now for the Switch and things like that. They feel just like Xbox controllers.
Yeah.
And they had the original big green A button on the N64 controller. Yeah. I like the big green A button.
I don't like that either.
Oh, man. You're always hitting it. It's everything.
I don't know. But anyway, so at the time we had GoldenEye. Another one, too. Same buddy that had the Xbox. He also had a Dreamcast. And a big game that was out at the time was Quake. It might have been Quake 3, if memory serves me.
Would have been around that time, yeah.
But yeah, and it was really fast. Quake was so fast. I forget, is it Unreal Engine that Quake used?
Yeah.
So it was this super, super fast fighting. And that to me was a big step above GoldenEye. That was you could come over and Dreamcast, again, 4 controllers, right? So you could have your buddies over and you could have this free-for-all or teams, whatever. I think Quake was mostly a free-for-all thing, but you could go to town on each other and just shoot the shit out of each other in this game. It was a lot of fun, and you had outer space technology for your weapons. You had really crazy designs
laser
for your
weapons.
Yeah, it was science fiction as shit, right?
No, yeah.
It was a lot of fun. Very cool.
It was like Space Doom.
Yeah, exactly. So in comes Halo. So Halo, again, changed the game, man. Way, way above even Quake, which was blowing our mind at the time. You know what I mean? I think Quake was probably the coolest thing before this. So in comes Halo. What a big game. So I want to get into the multiplayer later, but now just talking about the campaign itself, it had a crazy good story. My buddy, again, he bought the book. He loved everything about it. He loved the story so much that he bought the novel so he could learn more about the lore of Halo, right? It's crazy.
Oh, yeah, the Halo is such a great idea. It's such an original concept, at least at the time.
It's so weird. And another thing, too, when you go to Halo, you have an enemy. The humans have a natural enemy in the Covenant, okay? So at the first, you see protagonist, antagonist angle. As the game moves forward, you kind of realize that they may be your enemies now, but you're kind of fighting alongside them. They're aliens to us, but we're aliens to them. What they're doing isn't bad to them. They don't have bad intent. And the humans don't have bad intent, but we have a natural enemy in each other. So it's very interesting, especially once the Flood is introduced. Now we have a common enemy. So although we're not teaming up in this version of Halo, in this release, eventually, we're going to have to work together to do something about this Flood, right? And you can see that. It's a precursor to further games.
Oh, yeah, there's definitely development in there. And even in the game, you'll notice that there's times where you're fighting the Flood and the Flood are fighting the Covenant at the same time. Yeah. So there's 3 different sides fighting in the same room simultaneously.
Yeah, and that's when you know, okay, maybe the Covenant aren't the bad guys. Maybe the Flood aren't the bad guys. And maybe the Covenant, we're all trying to stop it. but we've met on such terms that the Covenant are also our enemies. So we have to deal with each other.
Yeah, and you can hear that the Covenant sees you as the bad guy when they call you the demon. Like, Halo is really good at, the enemies are talking to each other while you're playing.
Oh, dude, those grunts.
Yeah.
The grunts. You remember those guys?
Oh, I love the grunts.
The little high-pitched voices, and they would scream. And I can't remember this, so I could be lying to you, but I'm pretty sure if you sneak up on a grunt and you're holding a gun in his face, I'm pretty sure they'll run in terror. Like, they'll scream, they'll say things. They're afraid, right?
Oh, they're cowards. Yeah, they're fighting because they have to. They're fighting for their lives in their minds. They sleep on the job. They don't want to be there. They're not battlers.
Yeah, it's neat to know that these guys also have, they have emotions. Like, they have a conscience. Like, they don't want to be fighting. Like, not everybody does in a war. And there was examples of that in the game, which was super cool. So, aside from the scope of the story, how big the story was, like, physically, the levels in this game were gigantic.
Wide open. Like, you need vehicles. You can't run through some of those levels. It'll take you forever.
No.
It's not even fun to run through them.
I would rather walk to the next town than try to go through a stage in Halo without a vehicle. You need them.
Oh, yeah, because if you feel like you're covering the whole Halo when you're playing.
Oh, man, it was crazy. I don't think I'd seen a game up to this point that had stages so large.
No, they're usually very, very linear, It might look big, but every path is blocked. You have to go one of two directions.
Yeah, we got lost a lot of times. Like, there's so many times, and this is even before I smoked weed and I was dumb playing video games. You know what I mean? You get a little bit out of your mind. You don't know what's going on. But even straight as a judge, completely sober, I'd be following my friend around. I'd get attacked. I'd shoot at somebody. I'd get distracted. I turn around. He's gone. I have no idea where he went. So I'm kind of wandering around trying to find him because the world is so goddamn huge. I'm getting lost. And a saving grace, props to 343 Industries, Bungie, for coming up with this. But if your teammate gets ahead too far and they hit a checkpoint, you will automatically teleport to your teammate. So an idiot like me who gets lost in the background, once Joe gets ahead to where he's supposed to be, I will instantly teleport to Joe. Everything's good, and we can keep playing.
I mean, and that's a great way to introduce people to the game. You're playing with a friend who's not really familiar with it. They can't keep up, or they get distracted, or they get lost, and all of a sudden they're right back in the action when the action starts.
Yeah, it's great. So another thing too, the weapons in this game. Like, I love the weapons in this game because you have the human weapons and you have the Covenant weapons. One is not better than the other.
I mean, the pistol's the best weapon.
Pistol is the best weapon. There's no doubt in my mind. And this is the best pistol in any Halo game.
It's the best pistol in any game.
Severely overpowered. Yeah, I don't think you can find any video game that has a pistol this fucking strong. It was crazy.
It may not be a weapon as strong as the pistol.
So if you play multiplayer, I know we'll get to multiplayer later, but I mean, you can click this thing, you can zoom in, I think 2 times with the scope on the pistol. Headshots, you can take people, you can melt people with the pistol. This is meant to be a sidearm. This is to me, if you have a pistol, you use the pistol when you run out of ammo on your good weapon. This is not a main weapon. This is your side piece.
Like, when I was replaying this, there was times where I would see like a rocket launcher or a pistol, and I'm just going with the pistol.
Yeah.
Because it's better.
It works better. It's more versatile. It's more precise. You can do a shitload of damage. I understand a rocket launcher is going to do more damage when it hits that once. How many rockets do you have?
Yeah.
How accurate are you with a rocket launcher? You think about those things. I'm picking up that pistol fucking 10 out of 10 times.
Oh, definitely.
I don't want the rocket launcher.
There's no weapon you want. You want the pistol and something else.
Yeah, pistol is awesome. Absolutely awesome.
But let's forget about the pistol then.
Okay. So moving on. Some of the other human weapons that we had shotgun.
Shotgun,
huge.
Amazing.
Did you like the shotgun?
Oh man, fighting the flood, nothing better.
Very good for fighting the flood. How about multiplayer?
It's pretty good. I find you're going to get killed with a pistol before you shotgun somebody.
Some people love the shotgun in multiplayer. Like my buddy, the guy that I get introduced to the game with, he loved the shotgun, and he was really good with it.
Well, no one could compete with you and him when we were playing multiplayer. My whole game plan would be just try to negate you guys as much as I possibly can with grenades and explosions.
Yeah, but I mean, this guy, like, he could turn a corner with a shotgun, and it was almost like he knew that. Perfect distance. I'm not too close. I'm not too far. He knew the exact time to fire, and he knew exactly where to have his his cursor on you, whatever you want to call it, his crosshairs on you. So he'd blow you away with one shot every time. And it was super frustrating because he was so good at it. Sometimes a person is so fucking good at something that it just makes you mad. And that's exactly how it was with the shotgun thing. Like, he was so good at it. And I hated the shotgun because I was no good at it. I think it's the only reason I didn't like it. Because I sucked with it.
When you're seeing someone good with it, you realize how bad you are with it as well. You're never going to beat him with it, so you got to try something different.
Yeah, so I just don't use the thing.
Yeah. So you didn't use the battle rifles?
Battle rifles were cool. And we would have had to wait at least another Halo before we come into battle rifle. Did they come out in Halo 2?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Because I remember playing SWAT, I believe, in Halo 2, but I might be making that up.
Yeah, but I think you're right. And if not, then I believe we would have tweaked a custom game to make it SWAT, even if it wasn't called SWAT at the time.
But it would be one shot kill.
Battle rifle, no overshield, right? We would have just made that game. But in this game, we were stuck with the assault rifle, just for your basic.
And the assault rifle was good. I mean, anytime you're stuck with the assault rifle, it can kill at a distance a little bit, but up close, you put a half a clip into someone to punch them, they're dead. Absolutely.
I thought the assault rifle was shit, okay, when I started, because it's not, I don't know, it's your weapon that you start with. How often is that the best weapon, right? Pretty much never. But with this weapon, especially in multiplayer, to your point, if I see you, I'm going to run, kind of on a diagonal line, but I'm running at you. I'm going to come at you with this assault rifle, and as soon as I see that flash, when I know that your overshield fell, bam, here comes the melee attack. You're done. So that assault rifle proved to be an excellent weapon for multiplayer. I didn't give it enough credit at first, but once I realized that combination, run in, as soon as you see that shield go, bam, that makes you a much better player in multiplayer with a basic weapon that you start with every time.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I mean, the thing is with Halo, though, is in the game, you're already prepared for war. So it makes sense your guns would be good because you're not just makeshifting weapons here. You're invading.
Right. Yeah, you're not finding a gun somewhere. Oh, I got to scrounge. I got to find something to work with. It's like you're a soldier.
In Halo, you're the invader.
Yeah.
As weird as that sounds to say.
No, that's right. It's true. And the Covenants are just trying to protect something really fucking bad from happening. You have no idea what you're doing. Like, not to go too deep on the story because, we aren't wizards. I don't know Halo inside and out. But, it's this giant ring. And there's an alien life form on the ring, the Flood. And if they get released, they're going to fucking eat everything.
That's the end of life as we know it.
They are going to dissolve life as we know it. Okay, so the only thing that you can do is blow the entire fucking planet up, or the ring, whatever you want to call it. The Covenant know this.
Oh, yeah, and they're not even trying to blow up the ring. To blow up the Flood, they want to blow up all the life in the nearby galaxies.
Yeah.
So the Flood can't even escape and survive.
Yeah, they need to eradicate, that big a radius so that this Flood has no chance, because they will wipe out everything.
Yeah, they're like a mindless Borg.
And we have no idea. We just happened to be going through slip space, if you will. So when we come out, hyperspeed, when we stop, here's Halo in front of us. That looks like a good place to land. That's all we know.
Yeah, there's trees, there's plants, there's life.
So that's kind of how the game begins, right? But going back to the weapons, we had a couple other cool ones. We touched on the rocket launcher. Now, the sniper rifle. This is a big one, okay? Especially, now not so much in the campaign. Now, to Halo's credit, there was a stage, and a couple stages, but I remember one in particular. You're in this kind of cliffside area. It's really dark. You get outfitted with a sniper rifle. There's a lot of tall grass. You're picking people off and getting headshots. It's really, really rewarding. It's a lot of fun to use it. The way that they introduced this weapon in this game was so much fun to use. They didn't just, here's a sniper rifle, you might need it. They put you in a position where you want to fucking use this thing because this is going to make this situation way easier if you use the sniper rifle. So here you go. And to me, it was a great way to introduce the weapon.
Oh, definitely. I liked it for hunters. I would always, if I saw a hunter and I saw a sniper rifle earlier, I'd run back and grab the sniper rifle to shoot the hunters.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to fight them.
No, especially not on later difficulties. On easy or normal mode,
just circle them and shoot them. They die.
You can basically you're a bullfighter.
But once you're in legendary, You just want to never be seen by a hunter.
No, or anybody. Like, Legendary was fucking hard.
Oh,
It
definitely.
was very, very difficult. Like, oh my goodness, it was hard.
But in multiplayer is where the sniper rifle really shone. Because if you could use that, people wouldn't even know how they were dying.
Oh,
They would
man.
run. They'd be just running up Blood Gulch like an idiot, and then they'd be dead.
Oh yeah. So let's talk about multiplayer then. That was frustrating. Okay, just keeping on that same note. If you got a sniper rifle in multiplayer, you can camp. You know, and camping existed already. I know. I remember we camped in GoldenEye. I remember in GoldenEye. Do you remember the stage out of the facility? There was a vent that led to like a bathroom stall.
Oh, yeah.
I would hang out in there.
I would throw proximity mines in the vent. So when people spawned, they would die.
Yeah. So camping was a real thing for a long time. But with Halo, again, even the multiplayer maps are absolutely massive.
Yeah.
If you could find a good nook to hang out in with a sniper rifle, you could do some serious damage. And if you're playing with your buddies and they don't know the map, they're probably going to quit because you're just going to kill the shit out of them over and over and over again.
Oh, yeah. And they don't see anything. They just see the smoke line going through your head from somewhere.
Yeah, exactly.
And it could be anywhere. And guys that were good, they'd be getting on top of things that no one else even knew existed, even if you did know the map.
No,
you didn't
that's
know the
right.
nooks.
Absolutely.
And
You
the
got to know
players that
these
played
maps.
it all the time, they knew the nooks.
Another thing too that I liked about this, it's a good thing. It's a bad thing for people who are new to the game, but the cool weapons were always in the same spots on the map. Battle Creek? Was Battle
The
Creek in
rocket
Halo 1?
launcher, yeah. Yeah, you could always get the rocket launcher in the same place in Battle Creek and just wreck. You'd go turn invisible, get the rocket launcher, get 4 kills, 5 if you're lucky, get a double kill in there.
Exactly. You could make an absolute mess if you knew where the weapons were.
And you can even get on the frame. You could be ready for it to spawn in. Just circle around for it. You get it every time.
Yeah. So if you're familiar with the game, that's a great thing. Like, you can take serious advantage of that, and you can just, like I say, you can make a mess of everybody else. If you don't know this game all that well, you don't know the maps,
you're in for a bad time. You want to be playing with friends that like you, because they'll either show you how to do it or they won't take advantage of you.
Speaking of friends, okay, we didn't have Xbox Live yet. It was not a thing. You know, the internet, especially where we grew up, it didn't run fast enough to play games online. Not like this, anyway. But with the Xbox, you could connect up to 4 Xboxes at the same time via LAN. I think we had one really tech-savvy friend growing up. And if I remember correctly, he brought his own router from home. We went to our buddy Scott's house. We had 4 Xboxes set up. We didn't have flat screen TVs back then. Again, we're fucking old men here. We had the big CRT televisions. You know, they're 8,000 pounds each. Somehow, we gathered 4 of these televisions, 4 Xboxes, and 16 fucking controllers. And we got a shitload of guys together in the basement, on the sectional couches, in the bedroom, whatever, anywhere we could fit people. We got 16 people together to play Halo, all connected. All 4 Xboxes connected through one router, 16 players at the same time. To me, absolutely mind-blowing. I've never done anything like that in my life.
Oh, definitely. You get 16, and you'd start 7 p.m., you'd start 8 a.m., you'd leave.
It was crazy.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
crazy. And not just 2 teams, because generally in Halo, when you play multiplayer, you have the red team and the blue team. When you're playing 16 players, we have a whole new option available called Big Team Battle, where you can do 4 teams of 4. So, like, this was great, especially because, again, we don't have online play. So when you're playing with your buddy competitively in a shooter, what are you doing? You're looking at his fucking screen, especially if you know what the game is. You know, you have this bro code, this agreement. I'm not going to look at your screen. You're looking at his fucking screen. Everybody looks at the screen.
You're peeking and telling them not to.
You don't want to lose.
You're calling them cheaters, and you're peeking.
You don't want to lose, right? You're going to be looking at his screen. So anyway, if you did Big Team Battle, you could do 4 people to a television. You could put them over here in this corner. You know, you could set it up so that now, even though you're peeking at screens, you're just checking on your teammates, see how they're doing, see where they're at. It's not as bad.
No, it's just like a science fiction movie when you're just getting your allies, you know, they're monitoring your screen kind of thing.
Exactly.
You're getting 4 ideas of what's going on.
It's the future. You're a robot.
Exactly.
You should be able to do that anyway. But, no, so 16 players. Again, a massive thing, totally new, never been done before as far as I know. I think this is the first game that like that was popularized on.
It was first one on console for sure. On PC there was games you could always play Doom Land and things like that, but on console it was completely unheard of. It was the future.
Yeah, it changed gaming for us. Like, I mean, that's what we wanted to do on the weekend. Like, how many people can we get together to play Halo? Who's got an Xbox?
Well, that's why I met you guys. You guys were a bit younger than me, but I like playing video games, and you guys like playing video games, and you need as many players as you can get.
Yeah, so if your buddies need another guy, you know, we could come. You know, we need another guy, you can come. Yeah. And we started to hang out, and we became friends through this game.
Mutual friends brought us together over Halo, and that doesn't happen now because everyone plays on their own couch by themselves.
Yeah.
And you can't play multiplayer.
Fast forward 20, 21 years, here we are, sitting on couches, you know what I mean? We're still buddies. Yeah. So, like, this game, you know, it made friends out of us. And I'm sure it did it for a lot of people out there, too.
Oh, a pile of people. I'm sure lots of people only knew each other because they both knew a guy that wanted to play Halo.
Yeah.
And, we had more in common than our buddy.
Exactly.
You know? But we would never have known this, but Halo came along.
Man, we played the shit out of this game.
You know, what happened with Halo, though, is because we had to get 16 controllers and 4 TVs, is there'd always be one garbage TV and 1 or 2 sticky Mad Catz controllers that barely work.
I'm not using that because I'm fucking good.
You're good. Yeah, you're going to carry the team. You're going to give that to the new guy. And his first experience is going to be this garbage controller on his garbage TV, but
you know,
he doesn't know what he's doing anyway.
And like people today, you know, the saying today, get good. Well, that's what you want to do. You want to use the good fucking gear. You don't want to use the 13-inch television. Get good, and we'll move you up to the good one. Yeah, okay.
Show your teammates you're going to be the one carrying the team, or at least helping the team.
Yeah.
If you're going to go 0-8 and run in the corner for 20 minutes, you don't need a good controller.
No, you should be on the pink TV VCR combination in the bedroom, you know, by yourself.
Yeah.
I don't care. You're not helping anyway.
And then when you figure it out, well, we'll get you up there.
Yeah.
You'll buy your own controllers.
We'll bump you up to the 32-inch Toshiba CRT. and Halo, now that I think about it, it was in 4:3. You know, we didn't have 16:9 because we didn't have flat screens.
Oh, yeah. It was if you looked at a 4-player split-screen Halo game today, compared to what games look like today, you're not going to believe how bad it looked.
It's a lot different.
But at the time, there was nothing like it.
So when I played through this game, getting ready to do this episode, I used my Xbox One and I used Halo CE. So when I went back to it, it's been revamped a little bit. You know, I don't know if it's been like reskinned necessarily, but like the game looks way better. It's in the right aspect ratio. Like things just look and feel a lot better. I didn't play the original to get ready for this. I've beaten the original a million times. I played, 1,000 hours of multiplayer on the original. So I know what it's like. But if I were to suggest for you guys to go back and play this, you don't necessarily have to play the original to get the full experience. You could play the newer, updated one. It's probably going to be a bit more friendly and a bit more fun to get through.
Yeah, when I played it on the Master Chief Collection. And I played every stage, half in the Halo 1 graphics and half in the revamped graphics.
Okay.
And what I noticed was Halo 1 had a lot of flat colors.
Yes.
So like walls were gray.
Okay.
And floors were purple. But when you play the revamped one, all of a sudden the walls look like new Halo.
Cool.
The game was exactly the same. You can just hit the button and it just changes the way it looks, but the controls and everything are exactly the same. But I would recommend anyone playing it do what I did and play either half and half or just play with the updated graphics.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want the nostalgia of the old graphics, go for it.
It doesn't hurt to see what it looked like.
I found that Halo was really dark on the replay through.
Okay.
Compared to the updated graphics, which would light up the room.
Right.
Your flashlight would only light up a small section and you're in a gray room. So you're not seeing as much. But it was still fun. It still felt great.
Yeah.
The controls were all great. It was just the times indicated that we can't put intricate graphics everywhere on the launch game on the 3D console for the first time.
Absolutely. And that's another thing to remember. This game is an absolute classic and it shocked the gaming world. That being said, it was a release game. This is before the developers on Xbox even understood everything they could do with an Xbox.
Oh, definitely. And there was nothing like that on other systems. Like PlayStation 2 was at the same time. What were the launch games on that? Nothing good.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Right? Nothing memorable like that.
They were basically bad games.
Xbox and Halo are almost synonymous. Like, Halo made the Xbox popular. In my opinion, like, when you talked about Xbox when we were, grade 9, whatever, whenever it came out, you talked about Halo. Like, I didn't think about anything else but Halo when I thought about the Xbox. Of course, as the system grew, there were a ton of awesome games that came out. But I mean, at launch, Halo was Xbox, and for a long time, it continued to be Xbox.
For almost the first year, it was all the Xbox had.
It was massive.
They had Halo and then eventually Morrowind.
And people still talk about it today. Another thing you mentioned earlier when you were talking about the graphics was how it felt good. I want to talk about the controls for a little bit, because I also thought this controlled really, really well. I liked it. It has a little hint of anti-gravity, very floaty when you jump. I like that. What did you think about that?
I liked it. I like being able to jump. I don't like realistic jumping. It's too fast. Like, humans don't jump well.
Yeah, and I don't like falling fast.
Yeah. I want to have fun. And part of having fun is you got to break the rules sometimes.
Yeah. So if you have it was almost like a little bit of a space jump. You jumped way higher than a normal person would. You stayed in the air a lot longer than a normal person would. But it wasn't too exaggerated to the point where it was silly. It was fun. It gave the game almost like an arcadey type feel, and it made it a lot of fun.
And you're playing on Halo. You're not playing on Earth.
Right.
So you have less gravity anyway, in theory, We'll just
Absolutely.
say you do. And you can ignore everything with the fact you're playing on a ring, not a planet.
So you can't blame it on not being realistic because you have no idea what the physics
is.
are on this place anyway.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense in the first place.
Exactly. Another thing, you could exploit the physics in this game. So if anybody here, maybe you've done this before, maybe you don't know about it. If you're going to play the game, you should try it. So let's say that we're playing a stage together. There's you and I. We have one of the vehicles, the Warthog, okay? I have a couple vehicles in Halo, but the Warthog is kind of like like an army truck almost. Usually has a big gun on the back, either a machine gun or a rocket launcher. Anyway, if we're standing behind the Warthog and I come up behind you and I melee attack you in the back, it's a one-shot kill, you'll drop your grenades on the ground. Then you'll respawn because we're teammates. I get you to run to the back of the Warthog again, and I just keep giving it to you in the back over and over and over until maybe there's 15, 20 grenades sitting under this Warthog. Then we both fucking step back, or even more fun, get one guy to sit in the driver's seat. You lob a grenade at the pile of grenades under the Warthog, and when they all explode, it's exponential, the amount of force that it gives off, because all those grenades go at once, and it just doesn't explode with the power of one grenade. It multiplies it. So you could you break the game in a sense that you could get up on top of maps that you're not supposed to be on. Like, those weren't accessible at all. I forget, it might have been the Silent Cartographer. I can't remember the name of the stage. It's one of the first stages in the game, maybe second or third.
The second one, yeah, the one you're on like an island.
Yeah, you're traveling along the coastline and these big archways that you drive under. But yeah, what we would do is we would shoot the Warthog up on top of the stage with the guy in the driver's seat, and then the guy who's stuck on the ground go drown in the water, get killed, spawn up top with the other guy, and then you're on top of the map. We did that in a couple stages. There's another one, I can't remember which one it was, but we did do that in a couple stages. And there was also a way to do this with the rocket launcher. I think if you you had a sticky grenade, you could lob a sticky grenade at the floor, jump, and as the grenade starts to explode, you also shoot a rocket.
You rocket jump off it.
Yeah, that was rocket jumping, and it was enough to propel you to the top of a lot of maps. I think you could do it in some multiplayer maps, but it will give you the countdown. Like, get the fuck off there, you're gonna die. Like,
yeah, you get 10 seconds before the Guardians get you.
You weren't allowed up there, right? But you could do it. But yeah, I loved the controls in this game. I thought they were awesome. All the guns felt great. The enemy weapons as well. We haven't really talked about those, but like the Covenant weapons, they had the plasma pistol. It was shitty. It was nowhere near as good as the human pistol.
The plasma pistol was good in situations, but like most people, if you didn't understand it, you can't kill anybody with the plasma pistol. Like, things just don't die to it. You have to like finish them with something else.
And here's what I didn't like about it. And to the developer's credit, it's a fair mechanic, but I don't fucking like it. If you take the plasma pistol, you can charge it. You don't just have to fire these little, shitty bullets. You can charge the thing up. But if you're holding it in, if you charge it up all the way and you're holding it in, waiting for someone to come around a corner, your ammo, which is a battery, your battery is going to keep depleting. As you hold it in, it's going to keep counting down. So you can't just run around the map and hold this thing at full blast, waiting to launch it on somebody, because you're going to kill the battery, and now you'll have no ammo with it. I hated that. You know what I mean? I kind of wish that they would be unfair and just let me charge it as long as I want. But I get it. That's just a personal thing. I don't like it.
It's just crazy that they realized they should balance the plasma pistol and just ignored the regular pistol as far as balancing goes.
Yeah.
It's like, let's penalize you for trying to use this gun effectively while making this gun super effective, even though they're, side by side, they should be representing the same thing.
If you're going to have the humans with the best pistol in a video game ever, give the Covenant, throw them a bone here.
But this is why Master Chief can kill all the Covenant.
Exactly.
He is the better gun.
It was way better. One thing that the Covenant had that I really liked was the Needler.
Oh, man.
Awesome. You just spray these fucking pink, it looked like shards of glass, right? You just spray these into people. I think it has a little bit of a homing effect.
Yeah, it'll if you get them in the reticle, it'll home them. You can run out of it, obviously. But if you can keep them kind of straight ahead of you, you'll needle them every time.
Yeah, they don't fire perfectly straight like a bullet, but like they'll kind of track the
They'll
guy
chase
down.
you around a little bit of a rock.
And once you got a good bit of these things implanted in somebody, they explode. They blow up. It was a ton of fun. I love that weapon.
Oh, definitely. In the later games, they tried the dual needler.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, best idea ever. Obviously, they had to take it out of the game.
Yeah, there's too much.
You can't just have two needlers.
A little bit on the overpowered side.
Because the one thing the needler's one negative was you couldn't fight two people with a needler.
Oh.
You don't want to needle two people. Oh, half my health is gone, but we're going to kill you. It's basically like a one-person automatic kill weapon.
Yeah.
And so that makes it fair rather than completely unfair.
Yeah. Now, we also had a plasma rifle too. And that one, it was okay. Like, I didn't mind the plasma rifle. Usually it was carried by the elites. You take down an elite, get the rifle, and you could make do with it. But honestly, like I talked about the assault rifle earlier, if I had a plasma rifle and I found an assault rifle on the ground, I'm going to take the assault rifle.
But if you're fighting the elites and you run out of bullets, or you had a specialty gun, say you were rocking a sniper rifle or a shotgun and you ran out of ammo, I mean, you want that gun.
Oh, I would take it. You can definitely make do with it.
Yeah,
it's not a shitty gun by any means.
And you can find them everywhere. Once you find one, they're everywhere. So you start running out of ammo, because again, it uses a battery. You just switch it out, grab another one off the next elite you kill.
Yeah, exactly. So like the elites, they were a real bastard to try and fight. I know at the first of the game, not so hard, but like the elites are kind of like, let's say that the alien army, the Covenant, you guys may or may not be familiar with them. The grunts are kind of like these shitty front line, almost like an infantry, but they're like midget-sized aliens.
They're like alien hobbits.
Yeah, they don't have good guns. They're cowards. Like I say, you can point a gun at them and they'll run away screaming. Like they're afraid. They don't want to be there. I think I would say a step above them was the Jackals. If you remember those guys with the energy shields.
The thing is with Jackals is although they seem like they're a little bit better than grunts, once you're on harder difficulties, the Jackals are the worst enemies.
No, well, yeah.
They one-shot kill you from anywhere.
Yeah, they're tough as nails. And those fucking shields.
Yeah.
Like they were hard to get around. The shield had a little notch in it. And if you were careful with your aim, you could
shoot their hand.
them. Yeah, shoot their hand through that notch, right? And then you can take them down. But if they get you in the right situation and you don't have a good angle on them and you can't get a good angle on them, you're in serious trouble with those guys.
They're just shooting at you and other enemies are shooting at you and you got to get rid of the Jackals because they can wreck you.
And without those shields, those guys are a piece of shit.
They run away from you too.
There's nothing to them, right? They suck. But those shields made all the difference. So we got our elites, we had our grunts, we got our Jackals. I think the only one that we didn't talk about yet was the Hunter.
And the Hunters, they come in two. They're gigantic. They're like fighting two tanks at once.
Yeah, so like if you play, like remember Resident Evil, Resident Evil 3 Nemesis?
Yeah.
Like there'd be these times when the Nemesis would come and it was like, oh, fuck. Like things are legitimately scary. Like, oh, no.
Yeah, it's became serious.
So that was the Hunter in Halo. Maybe not so much on easy difficulty, like I say, but if you're playing on a tough difficulty setting and you see a Hunter, you're in trouble.
Yeah, I mean, you can't even hurt them.
These guys are like fucking bigger than Yokozuna. Okay, they're gigantic fucking aliens. They have a massive plasma cannon that they shoot at you, and this thing is wiping out your overshield, no problem. You get hit, twice by these guys and you're done?
Yes.
I don't think
once if you're already fighting something. Like if you're already damaged, they'll knock you right out of a vehicle.
Yeah, they're insane. Like very tough. So here's the thing with the Hunter too. If you're far away and you're trying to play that game, I'm just gonna fucking spray a couple bullets at them and this and that, they will shoot this plasma cannon at you and you're in trouble if that thing hits you. Like I said, you're probably going to die. So what you got to do is get closer. As soon as you start to get closer to them, well, now they're going to charge at you, which is just as bad. If they hit you, again,
you're still going to die.
You're toast.
And there's always 2 of them. Sometimes there's 4 of them, but there's always 2 of them.
They at least travel in pairs.
Yeah, and it's just like, the first time you fight them, they're going to kill you. And then they're going to kill you the next 2 times.
Oh, absolutely.
And then maybe you'll learn to get out of their way.
So did you? I don't know if you played. Did you play through this with anybody? Did you co-op campaign?
Yeah, I co-op the campaign on Legendary. I've never beat a Legendary on my own. I've always co-opted the Legendaries.
So were you guys cheap in the sense that like, okay, you go in and fight. I'm going to hang back here. And then when you die, you'll respawn next to me safely. And then I'll go in and fight. You know what I mean? And you hang back.
At least at first, I definitely was.
We cheesed it. There was a few times where it was so frustrating. Like, we couldn't get past a fucking part. That's like, okay, dude, you know what? Let's just hang back.
Yeah, because every 10 seconds, you'll pop right back in.
We're going to chip away at this. And, that was... it was a very forgiving feature. Like, I know growing up with the NES and even Super Nintendo, like, when you died or you got in trouble, like, fucking game over, start all over again. This is a big step forward. Like,
but those games were half hour long, an hour long.
Yeah, Halo was huge.
Yeah, so, I mean, if you had to start Halo over every time you died.
Even at the start of the stage, I mean. Like, you didn't have to start the stage over.
You're looking at 40-minute stages, unless you're rushing through them.
But it was so nice that you had checkpoints every 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever it was. If you died, you weren't going to lose a ton of time.
It felt like every time you cleared a room or a zone, so the checkpoints seemed like good checkpoints. Like, you'd enter a room, there'd be like 20 enemies in there. You'd kill them, you'd walk through a door, hit a checkpoint.
Yeah.
And that seems great because you're never too far back. But when I was playing through one time, I tried skipping a bunch of spaces, and then I died like 4 zones later. And I respawned back because I didn't kill any of the enemies.
And if you were listening from earlier, these stages are gigantic. So if you got to walk all that distance, like, that is a serious hike.
I think it was like a 45-minute level. At least at the pace I was moving, it was a 45-minute level. And it was like, I wasted like 25 of my 45 minutes. And I was like, oh man, that's a sign of the times. But it was still fun. But it was just like, man, I can't believe that just happened.
So another thing, too, we never really touched on these guys yet, but, like, what about the Flood? Let's talk about the Flood for a minute, because we talked about pretty much everybody else. We talked about all of our weapons, but, like, the Flood, okay? These guys, like I say, they're an alien race. They're inside Halo. They're captive inside Halo. And if they make their way out, they're going to eradicate life as we know it, okay? That's their objective. But let's talk about them, the actual enemies. So, like, out of the Flood, we had a few enemies. Joe, tell me what was the worst of all of Flood. Who did you hate to fight the most?
The one with the rocket launcher, man. You'd be fighting Flood and they'd be like just running at you. Then all of a sudden you get rocketed. And it's like, where the hell did the rocket come from?
Oh, yeah. So that's, I think that's called combat form.
I believe,
if I'm not
I don't
mistaken.
know.
So, like, combat form could pick up any of the human weapons, right? Maybe they could pick up Covenant weapons too.
I think they were just humans and Covenant people.
Yeah.
So into the Flood. Because if you went from a Star Wars game to Night of the Living Dead.
Yeah. It's like fucking
all of a sudden
zombie outbreak. And in the campaign, everything was kind of like dark and quiet. You knew something was wrong because there was some Covenant bodies on the ground, and you know you didn't kill them, so like something else did. So now the wheels are turning. What happened here? What's going on? So you make your way through a little bit further, and all of a sudden, here comes the infection, okay? The infection of the little tiny guys. They almost look like a head with maybe like some little strings or tentacles coming at the bottom.
They're like little octopuses.
And they traveled in these big fucking swarms, like hundreds of them at a time. So like this is where your shotgun is great. I know I said I'm not a huge advocate of the shotgun, but when it comes to fighting the Flood, they can take down the infection when they're overwhelming. They can take out pretty much anyone in the Flood. It was a great weapon against the Flood.
Oh yeah, well the Flood is where the pistol gets worse because headshots matter less all of a sudden.
Well, yeah,
all of a sudden you're fighting more and they're running at you, and then there's these little tiny guys, and you have 50 bullets. You don't want to be shooting 40 bullets at little guys.
No, you need to take out a lot.
One shotgun blast might kill a whole swarm. And even the assault rifle was good in those situations where it just blasted into them.
The infection were so annoying that even if I didn't kill them all, if there was like 4 left, I would just let them latch on to me, and eventually they would just die after they latched on for a minute. So.
Oh yeah, I tried punching them and I'd miss every punch.
Oh yeah, it's
like,
hard.
why am I even doing this?
It's like a little brain.
And I'd just be moving, so we'd just be trading spots as I'm trying to punch them.
Yeah. So like other than that, I mean, we had, like I say, those carrier guys that picked up the human weapons. They were horrible. If they got the right weapon in their hands, that was very tough.
Oh yeah, I'd say 80% of my deaths in my replay were those guys.
Oh yeah.
Just having a gun. Oh, you got a shotgun. Didn't expect that. Oh, you got a rocket launcher.
There's
Didn't
also
expect that.
one called a carrier, not carrier, sorry, a combat. Was it? No, combat's the one with the weapons.
Yeah,
So I
well,
think
there's the one that wanders around and
like a
blows
tentacle.
up into a bunch of other guys too.
that guy, yeah. Maybe that's the carrier. Yeah, he just like explodes and he's full of these infection. So like you think, oh, look at this guy. I'm going to take him out. You go to take him out. He swells up. He explodes. And then a bunch of this infection, these little brain guys come out of him. And then your day is ruined.
Oh, yeah. And he never fought the Flood in like a good place. You always fought the Flood in like a giant room with like 50 other rooms that look exactly the same because you're trying to get deeper and deeper inside the Halo.
And there's doors all around you, so you don't know where they're going to come from.
And the game looks the same everywhere. There's a million entrances.
Yeah, they can jump off a ramp from above you.
They're from everywhere.
It doesn't matter, right?
And then all of a sudden, the robots that are there to kill the Flood, they start fighting you too because they realize you're trying to blow up the Halo. Then all of a sudden, you have robots, Flood, and Covenant all attacking you.
The Sentinels.
Yeah, the Sentinels.
Yeah. And they would fly around and like they had this beam.
Yeah.
And they could melt the Flood with that beam if they wanted to. But if they put that thing on you, like that does some serious damage. Yeah. I hated that Sentinel gun, that beam.
And when you shot the Sentinels, they just fell and exploded right next to you.
Yeah.
So you had to get away from them as you're killing them, and like there's just enemies everywhere.
That's right. And I can't do this pod without at least mentioning the guy. Was it Guilty Spark? Is that the name of the little guy?
Robot you follow? Yeah, he's the guy that brings you to the Flood.
Yeah. So when you're going, you're in the depths of Halo. You're down underground. You're getting close to the Flood. There's this little blue robot guy. He has a super squeaky voice, and he leads you to the Flood. He's just a really, really peculiar character, and you don't know whether you like him or whether you hate him. Sometimes he's funny, like...
Well, you like him at first. You're a little nervous about him at first, but I found I liked him at first, and then I realized what the hell he was doing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, man.
Like, this guy is evil.
What a dirtbag.
Yeah, fucking awful. But I had to touch on that guy anyway.
Oh, yeah, he's one of the probably most memorable enemies in a game that you don't kill or shoot at. He just leads you to your death.
Yeah. And I mean, you could do so much in this game. Like I say, the stages were massive. It took you from outside, kind of crash landing on Halo. We went around the coastlines. We went inside Halo itself. We fought a completely different species of enemies. We set the thing so that it would blow up, so we could save the universe and all that. The game was massive. Right down to the end. It even had a really cool finale. Like, without spoiling it, like, there's going to be a really, really cool driving stage. Right?
It sounds really cool, but going back and playing it, worst part of the whole game.
Didn't like it as much?
It was super cool, but the Warthog at the time probably felt good.
The Warthog sucks at controlling. The
Warthog would just roll on you, and like it was a time limit, so you had like 7 minutes to do it, which 7 minutes seems like a good amount of time. And when I beat it, it was good, but there were times where like my Warthog would flip, or I'd just get shot with something, or I'd get hooked on something, and then the time would just run out.
That same floaty, low gravity mechanic absolutely applied to the Warthog, and that thing would fucking roll over. It was hard to control. It was almost like the General Lee from the Dukes of Hazzard. Like, it's constantly power sliding everywhere.
Everywhere you went.
You can't do anything without power sliding.
But Master Chief would hang out of the side of the door when he was power sliding.
It looked so cool.
And that never happened in any other game that I've ever played.
It looked amazing. Yeah. But if you're trying to drive the thing, it's really, really difficult to control. And like if you're playing multiplayer, like Blood Gulch or like one of those big multiplayer maps, and you're in the Warthog, you better be a good driver, and you probably shouldn't get too close to people unless you're one of those guys who is so good that you can run people over. They can't get out of your way.
Oh, running people over was great.
Yeah, it was fun, but like I didn't try to do it a lot. Personally, in multiplayer, I tried to stay away from vehicles. Unless I needed to get somewhere in the vehicle. I didn't use it as a means of combat. I used it strictly as a means of transportation so I could go hide somewhere.
Well, it was good for capture the flag style games where you could carry your teammate because a flag runner couldn't drive and he couldn't shoot, but he could sit in a passenger seat.
Yeah.
So it was ideal for communicating and getting around, but like you said, it's not good for killing.
No, not in a team slayer environment. Like, I didn't like it. Some people were good with them, but like I just didn't like to use it.
But in multiplayer, if you saw the tank, you got the tank.
Oh yeah,
because whoever has the tank's going to win.
Now in Halo, you could also steal somebody's vehicle if they were in a vehicle, right? So if you're driving that truck, I can run up beside you, I can hold in X
and hop in.
I can Grand Theft Auto you. I'll pull you out of that thing and I can take your truck. I thought that was really cool. So, like you mentioned, the tank. If you could sneak up on somebody who was driving that tank, you could steal their tank
and run you them got over, the tank.
Or shoot them with like a, you know what I mean?
Oh,
a tank shell. They're not going to survive that.
No, the tank. I think the tank was probably it was probably even more overpowered than the pistol.
Oh, it was bad.
If that's possible.
It was bad. You had unlimited machine gun with one trigger. And then you had tank shells with the other trigger.
And the tank shells would wreck.
They replenished pretty quickly. And they would make an absolute mess of any other vehicle in the game.
You could hold the whole map. Just drive to the middle, get it behind a hill so it's hard to shoot you.
And it was very accurate. It wasn't like this thing that lobs on an arc.
Oh, no.
It was a straight shot, almost like a sniper rifle. And when it hit, it just fucking destroyed everything in its path.
Yeah, because it was the Wraith that the Covenant used, right? And that went at the arc.
Yeah.
And that was like really easy to avoid. If you weren't paying attention, it would destroy you.
And we couldn't use the Wraith in Halo 1.
No.
It wasn't a playable vehicle.
It was just existed.
Yeah, we fought them, but we never got to drive in one. And no, it wasn't a cool vehicle in terms of its effectiveness in combat. It looked neat. It looked neat when it drove around.
Oh, yeah. And it was always hard to fight because it was always with ghosts and banshees and other enemies.
And that big plasma shell, like, that looked cool coming out of it. But, like, I just don't think it was a practical vehicle.
It was just easy to avoid.
Yeah.
Again, it was good for artillery for the enemy, but it wasn't the best.
No.
But there are other vehicles were good, like a Ghost. If I ever see a Ghost, I just hop in the Ghost.
I like how you had a speed boost with the Ghost. If you hold in a trigger, you'll get like a little speed boost. You'll go really, really fast. So that for me, that was my vehicle of choice in multiplayer. And again, not to fight with, but if there was a hole that I wanted to get into where I knew the sniper rifle was or whatever weapon was, I would use that Ghost to get there really quick, hop out, and now I'm ready to camp.
Yeah.
Here's another thing too, and this is before online gaming, and now weigh in on this with me. I think Halo was the first time that we'd ever seen teabagging in a video game.
If it wasn't the first, it was definitely one of the first.
I didn't know what teabagging was. People teabag today.
Oh, everybody teabags.
It's alive and well.
Oh, yeah. It's never going to die.
Fucking hilarious. You know what I mean? If you don't know what teabag is, Google it. We're not going to go through that here. But I can remember, again, going back to those nights when we played 16 players from fucking 7 o'clock at night until 8 o'clock in the morning. I remember going back to work the next day with no sleep, not being able to count customers' change at the gas station. You know what I mean? It's just an absolute mess. But my memories from the night before were a ton of Halo and a ton of teabagging. It was the ultimate insult.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
You get to teabag your friends, right?
Oh, my God.
You get to one-up them, you kill them, and now you're showing them that you killed them.
Right. And here's the thing. When you die, you get a little screen. The camera is shot on your dead body, and you see the countdown for respawn. So in that 3 seconds, when you're waiting to respawn, you're just looking at your dead body. So here comes, your assailant who's just killed you, embarrassed you, frustrated you, because, you just brought your team one step closer to losing the game. Now he's coming over and he's teabagging you.
Yeah.
You see him bouncing up and down on your face. Like
a salmon-colored Master Chief teabagging you.
I always pick the pink.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it was
hilarious.
Obnoxious.
Yeah.
It was obnoxious.
No one wants to die to the pink guy.
What's more frustrating than getting shot is getting shot by a fucking pink guy.
Getting stickied by a pink guy.
And then teabags you.
Yeah.
It's horrible. But that's why I loved it so much.
And now look at how toxic gaming is today.
Yeah, and that got the ball rolling on that as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, definitely.
And it's funny because teabagging is not something that we picked up online because we didn't have online.
We just did it.
We just started to do it to each other. So I don't know who introduced it.
Video game communication is pretty universal, I think. Everyone that plays any games kind of picks up on how can I either say nice things or bad things without any way of saying things?
And we still had the internet, so we weren't unfamiliar to everything. You could still read forums and websites, and you could pick up bad habits.
But we weren't looking for how to agitate your opponents in Halo.
No, we just stumble into this stuff.
You just want to agitate your opponents playing Halo.
When you find something hilarious like that, then you pick it up and you do it. Personally, I like being as annoying as possible when I'm playing competitively with somebody.
Oh, especially with your friend?
I want to be in your head.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm not always better than you. I'm not always as good as you. But if I can find something that bothers you, I can get in your head and I can use it to the point where you become less good. And now I've brought you down to my shitty level. And now I got a chance against you.
And that's how I used to play against you.
Right? That's, that's Halo.
Just try to make it awful for everybody that was good at the game.
Okay. So anyway, I think that's about it for Halo. Like, geez, I think we touched on just about everything. The only thing we didn't really go deep on was the soundtrack of this game. Not on this game.
I liked it, man. I found it always came in at the right time.
That was great.
Yeah,
it was great. With the sound on this game, it was great. But as Halo grew, as Halo moved forward, it got better. Okay, they brought in some awesome artists. If we have any people who like to listen to different types of music, or Steve Vai, okay, possibly the best guitar player known to man from a technical standpoint. The guy is brilliant. He's a great writer. He's an amazing guitar player. This guy helped compose the Halo 2 theme. Okay, like that's who these guys hired to do the second theme. Not to take away from the first one. The game we're covering today had an awesome soundtrack. The music is wicked. The sound effects were wicked. They were great. But they had Steve Vai come in for Halo 2. Another guy you might not be familiar with is Nile Rodgers. Nile Rodgers is like a famous funk guitar player. So if you're familiar with like Chic, Good Times, Rapper's Delight, that famous bass line, he played the guitar on that. So he wrote the guitar on that. He wrote the guitar on Let's Dance from David Bowie.
Yeah.
You can see him now. Daft Punk album was released just a few years ago. It had like that Get Lucky.
Okay.
He played the guitar on that. He plays guitar on fucking everything. He's worked with everybody. You wouldn't believe this guy's resume, how insanely good he is, and how many people he's helped produce albums. He loves games. So they took him and Steve Vai on to compose music for Halo 2. So, like, if you think the music in Halo is good,
it gets better.
Wait until Halo 2. They've never let us down on the music.
Oh, no. Halo has improved. It started out amazing and continued to be amazing for decades at this point.
Yeah.
It's such a great idea. Like, the improvements they made are just modernizing it because we can do things faster and better now.
Right.
But at the time, like I said, its competition was GoldenEye. And it was light years ahead of GoldenEye.
Changed the game. It's like a fucking grown man arm wrestling a baby. Like,
oh, definitely.
Huge difference from what we had, right?
Yeah.
We stepped into the future when we stepped into Halo.
Halo felt like the first 10 out of 10 3D game I've ever played. And I played, every generation of video games.
It was a major shift.
Oh, yeah. It was huge. I was playing N64 and PS1 to Halo.
Man. And here we are today. How many Halos deep are we? It's still a strong franchise.
Oh, definitely. And at this rate, Microsoft's probably never going to let it die.
No.
But good for them. I like it.
Absolutely. But anyway, I think that's about all we have to say on Halo. We covered a lot of ground. I hope you guys enjoyed tuning in and listening to us today. I had an absolute blast talking about this. Joe, I hope you had a good time.
Yeah, no, it went well. It went better than I expected.
Good. Yeah, no, we did pretty good. So anyway, we're going to wrap this up now. Thank you guys so much for listening. I don't know if it's going to be our first episode, but it's the first episode we've recorded together. So thank you for hanging in there with us. There's going to be a little bit of speed bumps and all this stuff as we go through, but we had a great time today, and stay tuned with us. Next time, I don't know what we're going to cover next, but we're probably going to go older than Xbox. I want to start looking at maybe some NES or SNES titles. We'll look into them, and we're going to do this thing all over again.
Sounds good to me. Go play some Halo while you're waiting, and we'll see you next time.
Awesome. Thanks very much, guys. We'll talk to you soon.